Hey everybody, don't know why I timed it this way, but Chew here. I'm going to do sourdough bread for you. Several people have asked me to do a video showing you, and I'm becoming more and more used to it. I haven't been making sourdough bread for quite some time. I started last year, had some success, but things are more successful now. You will need unbleached flour. You need bread flour or strong flour like whole wheat flour, as long as it's unbleached. I do use whole wheat flour. You need starter. You need to go and look at videos for doing starter. There's so many different formulas, but when you put your flour in water in a vessel, once it is completely fermented, you'll see lots of strong bubbling. And once you mark where it was, this is where my flour and water started. I added more flour to it and more water. Key, no water from your faucet, no chlorine. You need spring water, or you need water from a faucet that has sat out overnight, so there's no more chlorine in it. It doesn't have to be spring water, but just pure water. You need salt. So all you need for making sourdough bread is flour, bread flour. I do use the King Arthur flour. I find that it works really well. It tastes good, and I can get my bubbly starter to work out now. Lots of people discard some of this bubbly, but I don't. I save it. I use what I can from here. I make other things. You can make pretzels, you can make focaccia, you can make fried bread, you can put it in a pan like pancake and sprinkle things into it. You need, most importantly, a scale. When you turn your scale on, you can get grams or ml, milliliters, pounds, or fluid ounces. I'm using grams for making bread. So the one thing you need to understand is when you put your vessel that you're going to be cooking with, you put it on here. Let's say I put a bowl on here. And then once you get it there, you need to tare it back, T-A-R-E, to get it to 0. Then you can pour in your flour, your starter, your water. But each time you put something in here, you need to tare it back. You always need to be at the 0 point. I'm using grams. Again, everything that I measure is grams. Now, to get started, I've measured everything out. I'm going to put my bowl. I like a clear bowl because you can see the bubbles and you can see the rise of your actual dough. So I'm putting this bowl on my scale. Now, it's reading at 2,043.6 grams. I'm going to tear it back. Now it's at 0, 0. So I'm going to go ahead and start to pour it in. For this particular, this is 1 loaf recipe. My usual recipe is double this. But for the sake of getting this done and making it so that you can see it, I'm going to do half. So I'm going to use 125 grams of my bubbly starter. Otherwise, it would be 250. So I'm going to pour starter in here. You see how nice and bubbly it is? Until I get 125 grams. I'm right about there. Maybe a little over. To that, I'm going to add 362.5 grams of warm water. No chlorine, no faucet water. This is warm. It helps to activate the starter. And the usual recipe for the double loaves is 725 grams. So that's half of that, 362. You pour it into your starter. This is what we have here. And we want to try to homogenize this. And we're not to worry about the scale right now. We can take it off the scale and work this in until it becomes a nice milky substance. This is a Danish dough hook. This helps to stir things together until you get to a point where you really need to knead this dough. Stretch and fold with your hands. I'll be back to show you some of that. Once you get your starter and your water all nice and homogenized. There's some laying on the bottom of the bowl there. Not to worry. Now, a lot of people don't like to add salt to their starter right at the beginning. But the recipe that I got from a guy on Facebook, I think it works perfectly. Your amount of fine salt so that it absorbs into your bread dough is 25 grams. It's a lot of salt. So I'm using about 12 grams, maybe not all of that. I don't like it too salty. Most instances, salt will kill your yeast, your fermentation, but because I've got a nice strong starter here. That starter's been in my refrigerator for now about 2 weeks. Sometimes I take some out, I add flour so that it continues to be strong, and sometimes I just leave it. Sometimes it will form a weird looking substance on the top. I scrape that off, and as long as it smells like yeast, you know how you're going by a bakery and you smell that that yeasty smell? That's what you have here. To this, now that the salt is in, you want to add now your flour. This is 500 grams of flour. So the normal recipe would be 1,000 grams of flour. This is 500 grams. And I've already measured it out. Otherwise, I would have tared this back, T-A-R-E, and got it to zeros. But I had already put this on my scale and measured in my flour. So what I'm doing here, now I've got a warmer here, which I will share with you. I think my warmer is amazing. Now, I think my bread would do okay out on the counter as it waits for the 1 hour for the flour and the water to absorb really well. I think this would be just fine because it's a little warm in here today. We turned the heat on because it got cold last night. And I think this is just fine. It's a little bit on the thick side. And right now, because the dough hook can only do so much, and I will move my scale. I don't want to crack it or break it. I am going to pull the dough off of the hook. You'll see that it's a little bit sticky, but then with time, it gets stretchy. And that's what you want it to do, because when you work it and you get it stretchy, you're building what we call gluten. I use sourdough bread now, more so than anything else, because it's more digestible. There's a lot of chew involved, and so your body has to process this. Basically, if you chew, your stomach and your body has to chew as well. So I'm done with my dough hook, and I do have clean hands. So what you can do to keep the dough from sticking to your hands, you can put a little bit of water on your hands. It won't hurt if you put a little bit in there. And I'm going to just make sure this is all mixed together. Now I want you to see something. This is called a shaggy dough. It's very sticky, but over time, this will become less and less sticky. And with the rise that we have because of the starter, it's going to be so much easier to work with. But that is your shaggy dough. And you'll see there's a good bit of flour around the edges. I'll get a little scraper and get some of that off. This needs to sit here in the bowl for about 1 hour. So what I use to cover this is a clean cloth or a shower cap. I have some shower caps, the little plastic ones you use in the beauty parlor. They work just as well. Or a grocery bag from Kroger. But a nice clean cloth over your bowl works amazing. Now, I'm going to quickly show you. I've got a sourdough starter that I started much later than what I did the other one. This is the whole wheat one. This one is the bomb. This one makes bread. It makes it so much stronger. It ferments so much better. But what I have here, let me move my bag of flour without ripping it and spilling it, and turn this way. This is my Brad & Taylor bread warming oven. It's just plastic. This comes off, and there's a lid here. And on the side of this bread warmer is an indicator light I don't know if you can see that. An indicator light. Boy, I was not prepared for this video, was I? There's an indicator light right here. Right now it's at 83. You can go as high as 85, but if you go any more beyond that, you begin to kind of cook your bread. Another way to help ferment your bread a little quicker, people warm their ovens up and they turn the oven off and let it cool down to maybe about 85 degrees, and they cover their bread over it and put it inside a warm oven or microwave with the light on, or the oven with the light on. That will help to do it. But I'll take my lid off. I will put my bread bowl inside my warming oven. And I will put the lid back on, and that's going to rest there for 1 hour. I'll be back to show you the stretch and folds that you will do. The first one may be 10 stretch and folds. After that, every 30 minutes, 4 times. Well, the first one is 10 stretch and folds, and then 3 more times, 4 stretch and folds, and then it sits for 2 hours as it continues to mix together. I'm going to use some of this. I'm going to make another batter of dough in just a moment, because this one, I just put this in maybe 3 hours ago, and you see where it is because this one has whole wheat in it, and it works so much faster. But anyway, I'll be back to show you the next steps that we will do. I went downstairs to get my shower cap. Regular shower caps work just fine for a bowl this big and even bigger. I've done bigger batters, and the shower cap works fine. Be back to Hey family and friends, I am back. I'm removing the hood from my warming box. I am pulling the bread dough out for the first time. It's been about an hour. I've had this set at 83, so it's been nice and warm. Nice clean hands. While I am thinking of it, please, 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 when you're rinsing off your utensils, your hands, use cold water. It will help remove it, but make sure you dilute it. If you've got big lumps, put it in the trash. Get yourself a little trash bag or a cup and put it in there. This works like cement. Once it dries, it's a wrap. I don't know how we digest it. There's something in here that humans can manipulate, but don't put it in your drain. But anyway, I'm going to start off with my first set of stretch and folds. You can see that it's a little bit more amalgamated, or a little bit more mixed together, homogenized, I guess is the word I'm looking for. And I am again going to wet my hands to keep the dough from sticking. And I'm going to stretch and fold this dough about 10 times. I would not have been able to do this a little earlier. That's 1 and 2. So what I'm doing is pulling up the sides, stretching, and folding it over on itself. And you'll see after 3 more times of stretches and folds, this is about 3 or 4 right here. I'm going to do this about 10 times. I can smell the fermentation. It's a yeasty smell, and with each turn that gets, see how strong? Look. It's so strong now that it doesn't even want me to pull. So a lot of people hold their hand on the bottom piece as they stretch and fold. That's about 5. Here's number 6. The bowl is snapping because this dough does not want to be stretched and folded. And then when you leave it, I'll put the shower cap back on to let it rest. Then I'll be able to do it again. But it is actually forming a dough ball. And that's what you want. This is really good. I can tell this is a successful loaf of sourdough bread. I've got in another bowl a double loaf. It has the whole wheat flour, which is also very strong. That's about 7. This is about 8. I'm folding it over on itself. This is 9. And this is stretch and fold number 10. When I come back, I will show you another manipulation of this dough. It is quite sticky, but it won't be as sticky after it gets some more time to develop the gluten. But a lot of people do what they call a coil fold. They do this, which helps to stretch it, but also helps it to shape really well. This is another way to stretch and fold your dough. But anyway, right now that's enough. I'm going to put the shower cap back on it, put it back into the warming tray, and I am going to come back in about 30 minutes, stretch and fold it 3 more times. This time I'm going to look at the clock. So right now it's 4:41. So at about 5:10, I will come back and do my second set of stretch and folds. So that's about half an hour from now, 30 minutes. I'm going to clean my hands off with cold water, and then anything that's floating in the sink there, I'll take it out and throw it away. See you soon. I'm back to do my second set of stretch and folds. It's been 30 minutes. I turned my little heating element down a little bit because it's nice and warm in the house. We had the heat on last night and the residue is still pretty warm in here, so I don't think I need it quite that hot. But anyway, my hands are slightly wet, and what I'm going to do, not wet enough actually. I don't want faucet water at all because there is that chlorine in there. So this is some of the water I use to make the dough. So to keep it from sticking, now I'm going to stretch it over itself. Wish you could see this. Okay, I think you can. So I'm digging around the edges to get as much dough as I can, and then I'm stretching it over and folding it over the bread there, turning it around about 90 degrees. This is number 3. And this is number 4. It's getting nice and strong, meaning that it is developing the gluten. As I do this, I try to get as much of the actual bread dough off the sides of the bowl. I could have done a little bit better in mixing this up a little earlier. That's a lot of waste there. But anyway, it's a nice loaf of bread. And so that's number 2. I'll be back in 30 minutes to do the third set of stretch and folds. And then the fourth. At that time, we will leave the dough to rest for 2 hours. And then at that point, we'll fold it, shape it, put it into the bannetons, the little baskets that I probably should show you now, but I'd have to run all the way downstairs, which is where I had been doing my bread baking. But because of the light up here, I decided to do it up here. And it's warmer, too. It's really cool down in most basements. But anyway, I'll be back in another 30 minutes. Okay, I'm back. Stretch and fold number 3. You should be noticing the volume of your dough is getting a little bigger because as it is being stretched and folded, it is very warm in there. Your dough should be growing. This is stretch and fold number 3. We'll do this one more time. I won't televise that, but then after, videotape that one. After I do that, this goes back into the bowl or stays in the bowl, and it does what we call bulk fermentation. A good fermenting dough has strong starter in it, and it can ferment in 2 hours. I've never had that luck. Usually it's 4 hours or more. I'm learning my starter, and I'm getting stronger starter. So I'm thinking about the time. I don't have the time right here. But I'm thinking anywhere from 3 to 4 hours from now, I can actually shape this dough, which is a matter of, I'll have to show it to you. Describing is not going to work. But I am going to let it bulk ferment. I will shape it. It goes into its little banneton or its baskets that I have. I should have gotten them ready for you to see, but fourth stretch and fold, I'll have to do that now. And I will show you my bannetons that I actually flour with rice flour because rice flour will not absorb into the dough. If you do too much flour, you can make your dough too heavy, too dense, and it won't fluff. It won't spring, which is what they call it in the oven. You want a good spring. You want it to get nice and large. You want it to have nice air pockets. A crumb is what they call it, and a nice crispy crust, but you don't want that crust real thick and real hard. That's not good on anybody's teeth. So here I go with stretch and fold number 3. Wetting my hand because it still is a very sticky dough, but as it ferments, it will get less and less sticky. So this is a very strong dough now. That's stretch and fold number 3 coming up. That's 1. This is 2. I can feel and kind of hear the floppiness when I fold this and let it go. I can hear that it is nice, and listen, you hear that? That's because it's nice and airy. And then when you put it on your counter to actually shape it, you can hear those sounds too. It's kind of interesting, the different things that you learn as you do this. This is stretch number 4, and it is very strong. That one didn't really flop over like I had planned for it to do. So this is just number 5. And you can see the bowl, it's lifting the bowl. It's so strong. But I've got one more set of stretch and folds. You'll note there's not as much dough sticking to my hands because it's becoming more gluten. The gluten's being formed a little stronger. Goes back into the heated oven, and there it goes. And as a bonus for you, it's just about time for stretch and fold number 3 of my double batch that I happened to do because I had so much strong starter prepared. And this one is really getting a lot of volume because that microwave is very hot. I had the oven on. My microwave sits over my oven, so I get a lot of residual heat there. So I'm going to wet my hands a little bit more. There is still dough on my hands from the other batter. So I'm going to stretch and fold this dough. This is a lovely dough too. This one has the whole wheat flour starter in it, and it is very strong. That's stretch number 2. This is number 3. You'll note I don't have many fingernails now. Don't wear jewelry when you're doing bread dough. You'll be sorry if you do. You'd be subject to have to put them into some kind of chemical to get your rings clean. So this is number 4. It's very strong. And I'm going to have to come back and do this one more time, and then they'll go into their bulk fermentation where they'll sit in a nice warm place, and the volume will get increased. It'll get what they call kind of a jiggle. It's almost there now, kind of a jiggle to it. And that comes after the stretch and fold. So we've got some growing to do. Back into the microwave. Still quite warm in there. I might turn my oven on for just a few minutes. Getting dough everywhere. Anyway, see you soon. Hands have already been wet. I am about to do the very last stretch and fold. That was 1. This is 2. It's got a nice consistency. Hear that noise? It's puffy. There's bubbles along the surface as I pull it. You'll note that as I do this, now I'll do 1 coil, which will help to take almost all of it came out of the bowl, which means that it has become a unit. 1 more coil, fold it back down on itself, and I'll leave it. This will go back into the proofer for the bulk fermentation. So This probably will not be ready until at least maybe 8 o'clock. I'm hoping at 8 o'clock I will have seen a 50% to 75% rise in the dough. This is one loaf. And then I will shape it, put it into my Benetton baskets, and it goes into the slow fermentation, into the refrigerator. I'll get them out at any point in the morning and bake them in my cast iron Dutch ovens. I have 2 of them. I will put them in my pan in the oven at 500 degrees for 35 minutes with the lid on. I'll bring the pan out of the oven, insert my loaf. I've got a silicone handle that I can drop it down into, making sure that I have gloves on because the pan is extremely hot. I'll put my bread in. I'll put the lid on, put it into the oven. It'll cook for 30 to 35 minutes. I'll take the lid off and it'll cook for another 10 to 15 minutes. And then I'll have bread, and I'll show you what that looks like. My next bowl is the double batch. This one has done a lot of rising. This is the whole wheat flour, and I can't tell you enough. You see that jiggle? Can you see that jiggle? It's getting all nice and poofy. I'm gonna put a little bit of water on my hands. This is number 4 for the double proof too. The more you can stretch it without breaking it, the more elastic it becomes. This is nice and poofy. Did you hear that noise? I'll try to make sure you hear it this time. That was 2. This is number 3. Nice and strong. You hear that? You hear that? That's a lot of air in the dough from the fermentation of the starter. And this is number 4. This is it for this loaf. Now I've done both of these, so there's 3 loaves of bread here. Both of these, and far less dough on my hands because it is becoming a unit. This one will go away and will continue to proof. It should get a lot bigger. It has grown quite a bit already. This will go in until about 8 o'clock, maybe 9 o'clock. I don't think 10 o'clock it might be overproof, but I think it'll be good and ready by then. My temperatures are nice and warm, and my starter was strong. My microwave is very warm because I warmed the oven up once again so that that heat rises. So I'll see you back here in about 3 hours. Well, it's only been about 2 hours and 15 minutes since I put my sourdough dough into the proofer for the bulk fermentation. Usually I go a little longer, but it looks to me like it is spread out. It's jiggly, you see that? And I see lots of air bubbles. So I'm gonna try it because I had such a strong starter. This just might work. We have on Family Feud in there, and I don't like to upset the household, so I'm going forward, just dusting lightly my counter and a little bit on my hands instead of water, and hoping that my dough has proofed enough but not overproof. Sometimes you can overproof it, but I'm certainly probably not in any danger of that. I say that because it has only been 2 hours. And most recipes tell you 2 hours or more. So 2 hours is a baseline. So we're going to let this kind of plop out. This is the 1 loaf bowl that I did. And I've got the other one proofing, still the bulk fermentation, which is actually 2 loaves, and it's made with the whole wheat flour, which is going to be a browner loaf. And it's tasty, but I kind of favor this one because you can taste the sourdough a little bit more. And it's not quite popping out the way I thought that it would. So hopefully it has proofed enough. That is one loaf right there. Now I'm gonna pull these little excess pieces out. It's not as sticky as it was, and I can feel the poofiness in it. So, what we want to do now is, I got me my bench scraper. I have another one downstairs. This is your best friend when working with sourdough if it's a little tacky. So the way that we operate this dough is to begin to shape it. So we stretch it out. Hopefully you can see that. You push that back a little bit. There. We pull it out. We stretch it into a rectangle. And you see it's not really sticking too badly. You want it stretched. You don't want to break out too many air bubbles. And then you fold it. You hear that? That shows that there's air in there. Then you take it and you roll it this way. Then you take a little flour and you take it and you move the dough around. It's a little sticky on the bottom, but what you're essentially trying to do is build tension, meaning that you're trying to get it to form a shape. Most people push it forward and bring it back. So if I can get it a little bit more loose, again, this bench scraper is kind of tricky, but you're trying to keep it tucked under, but you don't want to break that top skin. So as I twist and turn, now I push it up and pull it back. Push it up and pull it back. I'm tucking as I go. Push it up, pull it back. I'm tucking as I go. Push it up, pull it back. I don't want to break the top, the surface, because that is what keeps the tension in and helps the rise. You can break any bubbles if you see, but I prefer not to do that. Up and back, up, gently back. And if you can't see my hand motion, I'm kind of taking my hands under as I move it up and pull it back. Push it up, pull it back. See that bubble there? Can you see? Yeah, you probably can't see that because my little monitor thing is there. But it's got a nice texture to it. Up, up. I'm tucking, 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 tucking. I'll pull it back so that you can see it. I'm tucking. Try not to use too much flour. I don't want it doughy. It's nice and light. Now, that sits here for 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, I come back, I flip it over, and then I stretch it out, not nearly as much. And I fold it the 2 times again. I'll show you that. After 20 minutes, I'll come back and I'll have my banner tin ready to put this inside where it will rest in the refrigerator until in the morning when I get ready to bake it. See you shortly. I'm back and it's been about 20 minutes. You can see it flattened out a little bit. I wish that hadn't happened. My banneton is a basket. This is from Ballerina Farm. It's got a liner that comes out. You can wash it. This is rice flour. I dust the inside with rice flour. This is another banneton that I ordered from, believe it or not, I ordered this from Temu. And it's nice, it's oblong, and you can take the liner out and your bread will have this shape. It's kind of nice. So what I do is, like we do when we're doing cake pans, I just move that rice flour all over the inside of my basket because I do not want my bread to stick, because if it sticks and you pull on it, you can break the seal on the sourdough loaf. So I am coating this really well. and I tapped it into here. And I'm gonna sit that there for now. Now, I have clean hands. I'm going to rub just a little bit of flour in here. I better use my bench scraper. I'm gonna scrape this bread up and flip it over like that. Now, I'm gonna shape it like I said before, not stretching it nearly as much. I'm gonna flip this over, flip this over. It's still quite tacky on the inside, so it should hold together really well. Then I'm gonna roll it this way. Being certain to flour it just a little bit. Still kind of sticky. So I have a feeling this might have been overproofed just a bit. But we're going to continue to push and pull. Push and pull. Push and pull. This time we're being still gentle, but we're being a little bit more deliberate and trying to get it to hold its shape. Push. Push. Pull, push, pull, push, pull. And if that doesn't work for you, you can always lift and do the coil and help it hold its shape. Take it this way, lift. What you want to do is tuck under and hold it together. This is obviously not my strong suit. Put a little flour on the top of the bread because this is going to go in top side down. So what I'm simply doing here is tucking it over on itself, building tension. Try not to break the surface. There's a bubble there. Don't know if you can see it. I'm going to pop that. I'm continuing to tuck it. I don't want to add too much flour, but I'm continuing to tuck it. It's a little stiffer, but not quite as stiff as I would like. So we're going to see, actually you're supposed to do this counterclockwise. So let me go back this way. Don't ask me why they say that. And also when you stir your starter together, the flour and the water, as you're building it, they say do not use metal. I don't question them. I figure these people have done this a lot longer than me. I simply heed their advice. I find this relaxing, not particularly for me today because I've been doing a lot of house cleaning. The kids are all coming over. One of the families won't be able to make it. They're going to the Ark, which is something I had hoped we would all do, but it didn't work out for us. Some had to go to Florida for a wedding recently. But anyway, I think my loaf is in good shape. So what I'm going to do is put a little flour on my bench scraper. Get my basket here in a clean spot. And I'm going to take this and flip it over and put it in on the good side. Then I'm going to take it and stitch it together. It's still underneath, it's still pretty sticky. So I'm stitching it together, dough to dough, trying to keep it in a nice tight knot. I've got a lot to learn about this, but so far, so good. It is stitching. I'm gonna put a little flour over the top, just so that when I put my covering on, which is a plastic shower cap, that's how it looks. You see that? It's nice and kind of bouncy. Here is my shower cap. And we're going to place that in the refrigerator until tomorrow morning, where I will lance it with my lane. I got this from Ballerina Farm. They have so many different ones, but this one is, if I loosen it up, there's a screw there. There's a blade there that you can actually pull out, tighten it down. And this is what you use to score your bread with. You make wheat stalks, one large slice, they call it, and that will help your bread to expand in the oven. This is the bowl with the double loaf, jiggly, and as you can see, it has expanded tremendously. I'm not going to do the whole process tonight, but I'm going to show you the difference in working with this dough. This one is not nearly as tacky. I think it has proofed perfectly, and it is coming out a lot less sticky. And I'm going to split this one in half. Some people will cut this loaf in half with their bench scraper and weigh it, put it on a dish and weigh it so that they have equal loaves. I don't care about them being equal as long as I can work with them. So I'm going to take my bench scraper and go. I have to go this way because I poured it out up below. You see how dressed up I am. So I'm going to get as close to the middle as I can. Try to get it as even as I can. And that's the way that operates. Now, I'm going to take this loaf here and put it aside. I'm going to begin to work with this one using probably way more flour than what I would like to. But this is a much better dough, I can tell already. Not nearly as tacky, and it's got a lot of volume. So again, you pull it out and stretch it into a rectangle. This is much nicer dough. This one has a whole wheat starter in it. Now I want you to listen to this sound when I fold it over. You hear that? Now, I'm gonna add a little bit more flour. So that I have some way to keep it from sticking. So I'm gonna fold it this way now. And now I'm going to push it up, pull it back. Push it up, pull it back. Push it up, pull it back. Pull it back. Only using so much less flour for this one. That whole wheat, I'm telling you, it makes a world of difference. This one is gonna hold its shape so much better as I twist it and twist it and twist it while tucking. You see that? Can you see that? I'm building tension. And I'm gonna leave that sit there. I'm gonna work on this other loaf over here, which is the other half. This too, of course, is the whole wheat. And it is just a much better consistency. I'll turn this way. Put a little bit of flour down on my surface. Obviously, I'm gonna have to go and take a bath and clean myself up. It's been a busy, busy day. But I'm turning this into a rectangle. This helps to build a structure. So now I'm gonna build this here. You hear that? Then I'm gonna fold this over. Up and back, up and back, up and back, up and back, up and back. you get an edge that's sticky like that, you want to be sure to tuck that in because that's where the skin would like to erupt, and you don't want that to happen. And some people just simply twist and turn it. And that will somehow, if there's a little bit of a wet spot under the dough, it will grab the surface, and that helps it to pull tight. And tuck it under. Tuck it under. Tuck it under. Tuck it under. These are near perfect. These two loaves are near perfect. So I won't be back tonight, but tomorrow morning, once these are out of the bannetons, and I get ready to score them and put them into my hot cast iron Dutch ovens, I will let you see them then and see the way that I score the top and cut the surface so that it can expand while it's in the oven. So here are my 2 whole wheat loaves, and I think these are going to be really successful. So I'll see you tomorrow.